Alright, so hello, my lovely magical beings. How are you? How are you really? So, we're going to dive into a general reading, okay? We're going to see what Spirit has for us, okay? What messages we can all receive as a collective, okay? Um, Before I go into this reading, I had something on my mind about avoiding temptation and also trying to look at things from like the bigger picture, from like a higher perspective, okay, instead of just looking at things from like face value, okay, because a lot of times when we make our decisions or when something happens, we only look at it from like our level of understanding, but sometimes we have to like pray for a better understanding and see things from our higher self, okay? Because when we're looking at things from our limited perspective, you know, um, we don't, once again, we just don't get a chance to see the full scope of things, okay? So, yeah, that's all that I have for the opening messages, okay, of what came to me in regards to like temptation. It's like when we get to thinking about how we should solve a problem or things of that nature, it's kind of like fighting off the temptation to go through life based on our own knowledge or our own perspective, and instead seek higher guidance. Okay, so it's like we have to avoid being our own temptation, pretty much. Okay, so what messages do we have from Spirit as a collective? Okay, we have the Seven of Swords in reverse. We also have the Queen of Pentacles. We have the Strength card in reverse. We also have the World card in reverse. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get like one more card out. Okay, there we go. Okay, and that one came out too. Alright, so we got this Death card in reverse. And we also have the King of Swords in reverse. Okay, so the energy that I'm getting off of this so far, especially with this Death card in reverse and this World card in reverse, it's kind of like the energy of cycles going on that we have to find a way to close out. Also with this Death card in reverse, we could kind of find ourselves subconsciously, like not trying to, but clinging on to situations that are outdated, situations or connections that we are kind of outgrowing, things that no longer fit us, things that they match our past much more than they do where we're going. Okay? And it's kind of like with the Seven of Swords in reverse, it's pretty much us having to admit to ourselves that certain things are no longer aligned with us. Certain things we have outgrown, because the more we evolve, the longer we're on our spiritual journey, we change, So also what we take pleasure in, it starts to change, and what's our definition of healthy, it starts to change compared to what our definition of healthy was before, you know. And it's kind of like on this spiritual journey, we get to the point to where we have to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, like, how I have been doing things, or the people I hang around with, are they still aligned with me? Are these things, are these people, are they growing with me? You know, are they coming along with me on this journey? You know, or am I holding on to situations and connections that are outdated? They no longer fit the new me. You know, I just kind of thought about a caterpillar, like when they transition into like a butterfly. Caterpillars starting out, they actually are in a cocoon. But as the caterpillar grows, that cocoon, it starts to become uncomfortable. It starts to become not enough space. And it's like the caterpillar, as it's growing, it reached that point where it has to be honest with itself. Like, this cocoon, it kept me safe. I'm used to having this shield. This has been my home for a while. I'm used to having this on me, but it's kind of starting to get a little bit too cramped in here. I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable with this. I kind of need more space. you know. And it's kind of like the only way for the caterpillar to move forward and break out of that cocoon is to admit that it no longer fits. So it's kind of like the same thing with us. On our spiritual journey, we grow, we heal, we learn, we evolve, we start to see things from a new perspective, like we're growing. But with this death card in reverse and also with this world card in reverse, it's kind of like as we are evolving, it's like we don't fully allow ourselves to embrace this new identity or this new chapter because we're still hanging on to outdated belief systems, outdated friendships, outdated patterns like behavior patterns or even connections with people. Because with the cocoon and the caterpillar, the cocoon is what the caterpillar noticed as its safe place. It grew comfortable. So a lot of times on our spiritual journey, as we're moving forward, it's like we want to move forward, but it's kind of like this cocoon that I'm so used to. I've grown comfortable with this. This is my safe spot. Whether it's us wanting to keep the same friends that we're used to, or that we have a lot of history with, or staying on a job that we've been on for a really long time, or in a relationship or marriage. It's like this is what I'm used to. I've grown comfortable here. I've invested a lot of time here you know. And a lot of times, I was mentioning that in one of the zodiac readings. I forgot exactly which sign it was, but I mentioned that sometimes we stay in situations for so long that we actually grow immune to how toxic it is. We grow immune to how it's draining our energy, how it's holding us back, how it's boggling us down. It's like we become blind to that. We become used to it. And a lot of times when I mean, it goes different ways for everybody. Some people could like not know that the people around them they have outgrown or like a job, okay? But for others of us, it's like we are highly aware that certain things are no longer serving us. We are aware that certain connections just don't feel the same. We're aware that our frequency within the connection has changed. We are aware that on this job we deserve more, and that we're capable of more. But it's like sometimes we turn a blind eye to that. Because once again, that's our comfort zone. That's our safe spot. We've invested a lot of time, you know. So it's kind of like we have to kind of like, especially with this strength card in reverse, it's kind of like we have to loosen our grip and because like imagine us trying to move forward in our spiritual journey, but we're clinging on so tightly to past connections that no longer serve us and jobs that no longer align with us. It's like we cling on to it because once again our comfort and a lot of times we have established an identity in those connections or on that job, you know. Although it may be toxic, although it may be not aligned with us, we have that established identity there. So it's like we try to cling on to it because it feels like home. Although, you know, it's kind of like, okay, imagine if it was a child and the child grew up in a very toxic and abusive home. Well, as that child ages and it's time to, get out on their own, although that was a toxic and abusive environment, they're still going to low key dread having to leave. They're still going to look back. They're still going to think to themselves, my childhood wasn't the best, and I had a lot of bad memories in this house, but I actually miss living there. I miss those days, you know? So it's kind of like that's the same thing that we do on our spiritual journey. It's like we're being pushed and guided to move forward, but we look back and we're like, well, that's my house that I'm walking away from. That's my relationship. That's my marriage that I would have to walk away from. And, it creates within us this feeling and this thought of where am I going to go now? What am I going to substitute this with? What do I do now? How am I supposed to establish a whole new identity outside of this job or outside of this relationship or marriage? You know, and it's kind of like in that process we would have to like seriously like learn to allow things to be a mystery because when it comes to us embarking on our new journey, turning a new page, embracing our new identity. When I say embrace things being a mystery, we don't know who we're getting ready to be. We don't know which relationship or marriage will manifest for us as right for us. We don't know, and a lot of times that scares us so bad that we would rather run back to what feels familiar, although it's toxic, although it's outdated, although it's no longer aligned with us. It's just something that we can claim our own. It's something that we can claim as familiar. It may hurt, it may feel like a burden, but it's something that we're used to. It's something that we have invested time on. You know, prime example, if it's a person who, like, on a job, maybe they're not getting paid much, they know they deserve better, and it's like there's opportunities out there that they're aware of, so it's like in their mind, it's like, okay, I can get away from this job and go ahead and quit, but, it's like that's when they start to have this fear, like, okay, what if nothing pulls through? I don't know where I'm going to go after this, so it's like, maybe I should just stay here. Maybe I should stay here. Yes, this job is poopy. No, they're not paying me right or treating me properly, but it feels safer here because for me to leave from here, not knowing where I'm gonna go next, not knowing where my next source of income will come, not knowing, if this next opportunity will pull through for me or not, me not knowing that, it puts us in a place of insecurity. It puts us in a place of confusion, not knowing. That's whenever we are completely out of control, especially with this strength card in reverse. It makes us feel like not so much as weak, but kind of like naked, Because on this job, yeah, although it's poopy, it feels like home. It feels like I have something established here. But for me to just, go out there, I know it's opportunities, but, I'm just out here. I have nothing to fall back on. I mean, I do. I could go back, but out here, outside of what we're familiar with, it's just like, where do I go from here? What am I supposed to do? And it's like a lot of times we get caught up in that part right there, and we start to panic, like, oh, no, 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 maybe I should just go back. Maybe the relationship ain't that bad. Maybe the marriage ain't that bad. Maybe I, just try to, stay and make it work. Maybe it ain't that bad because we have a fear of the unknown. We're aware that we probably need to push forward. We're aware that, we deserve better. We're very aware of it. But when it comes to actually putting ourselves out there and pursuing that better, pursuing a healthier relationship or marriage, and coming from what we're used to, you know, that's when fear kicks in. That's when we sometimes start to panic. And nothing's wrong with how we feel, nothing's wrong with us panicking. But it's like when we do that, we signal to the universe that I don't trust you. I don't trust you to pull in for me what's aligned with me. I don't trust you to provide for me while I'm away from this job. I don't trust you to bring in better opportunities. You know, when we freeze up and panic like that and just go backwards, that's what we're telling the universe. We're telling the universe, I don't trust that you have better in store for me. So because I don't trust that you have better in store for me, I'm just going to go back where I came from. Although it's toxic, although it's pulling me down, although it's unhealthy, it's something, you know? And like I always tell the zodiac signs about us coming from a full cup. When I say full cup, I mean self love, confidence, courage, strength, you know, and that stuff, it takes time to build, you know? But when we're coming from an empty cup, y'all, we don't care about settlements. We don't care about what's being served as long as it's something, you know? It's called like pretty much like desperation, like the person who, if they're trying to come away from a job that is not aligned with them, but, you know, they have a fear of stepping out, you know, well, we would have a fear of stepping out. And it's just like, you know, if our cup was full of confidence, we would know that the universe has better in store for me. Something will pull through for me. But when we jump out there on an empty cup, you know, it's just like, this ain't filling my cup fast enough. So just let me go back to being served what I was being served at first. Because it's something, it's of substance. It may not be good substance, but it's something, you know, and it's not until we fill our cup up with faith, courage, confidence, and respect and love for us to realize, like, you know, I would much rather go without for a while until the right thing comes around, whether it's money, opportunities, or relationships or friendships. You know, it takes a special type of breed to be willing to go without in faith of knowing that something better is to come. It takes a lot of faith. It's like our cup has to be filled with a lot of faith and confidence in the good Lord to walk away from a person who, like if we're in a relationship with them or even if it's friends, it takes a lot of courage, faith, and strength to walk away from connections that no longer serve us and be alone. You know, it takes a lot of guts to choose to be alone and go without versus settling. It takes a lot of guts. You know, it would take a lot of guts for a person to come away from a job that they're unhappy with and go without while waiting for something better to come. That takes guts, you know, and not even so much as guts, but overall just faith in the universe, faith in knowing that better is to come. I don't have to settle. More is out there, you know. Now, I'm not talking to people who, if you in a relationship or marriage and you just kind of grew a little bored with your partner and now you just want something more exciting. I'm not talking to y'all, okay? I always tell people you don't have to move on from your partner just because you're growing bored, okay? There's ways that you can kind of like spice things up, have date night, stuff like that, okay? I don't ever encourage people to leave stable relationships and marriages in hopes for something more exciting because exciting ain't always stable, okay? So if you got a good thing, y'all, hang on to it. I'm talking to the people if it's something toxic, something that holds you back, something that it tugs away at you, something that you can't be yourself in, okay? Something like that, okay? That's what I'm talking about in this region, okay? So I don't need y'all, you know, taking my words out of context like, oh, she's saying leave our relationship marriage. No, I'm not saying that. If your partner is beating on you, yes, I am saying it. But if you just, you don't like how they hair looks on Sundays when they go to church, no, okay. But yeah, it's like we're growing, we're healing, we're evolving, we're learning, we're changing. And as our frequency is changing, so is the things that we're attracted to, so is the things that we accept and don't accept. We start to have new boundaries in place. We start to carry ourselves different. We start to move different. And when we do that, some things that we once were aligned with, we start not to be aligned with them. Perfect example, y'all. If you have like a group of friends and y'all always go out, party, okay, that's a certain frequency. It's the frequency of excitement, passion, um, fast paced stuff like that. That's a frequency, okay? Now, let's say you start to study more about maturity and being more relaxed and, being more stable minded and sober. So now all of a sudden, you don't drink. Now all of a sudden, you don't want to go to the club. You don't want to party. You don't want to smoke, okay? You're going to look at these people a little different. They're going to look at you a little different. And in that moment, you would have to make a decision on if it's suitable for you to continue to hang on to these group of people or risk being alone until the right people can find you to where they're on the same frequency with you. It's kind of like for us to get to that promised land, manifest better friends, manifest better relationship, better marriage, better paying job. It's like we have to go through a drought process. And in that drought process, it'll feel like we're in the desert, like no waters, all this sun beaming down on us, just very unpleasant. And it's like only the strong who endure that process actually gets the reward. Because a lot of times we get out there in that drought, in that desert, we think to ourselves like, nah, I'm just going to go back to the house. I'm gonna just go back and go get some water instead of trusting and keep walking on, knowing that we're gonna be provided with everything that we need. It's like only the strong endure. Only those who have faith. Only those who have strength and confidence in the universe, spirit, God, Allah, Buddha, Yahweh, whatever we believe in, y'all. You know, only the strong endure. Only the strong who believe actually receive this new beginning, while the rest of us, out of fear that this new beginning won't happen at all, choose to go back. You know, it's like there's two different ways to handle this drought. Either stay calm, relax, peaceful, know that everything will be okay, will manifest better, or panic, you know. But overall, what I'm seeing with the Seven of Swords in reverse is that we're being called to be honest with ourselves about what and who in our lives no longer serves us. And, it's kind of like having to do like inventory, taking stock of our lives. What's working for me and what's not working for me anymore. From my behavior to the clothes that I wear, to the hairstyles that I wear, to the type of toothpaste that I wear, the lotion, everything, the car, where I live, what works for me and what no longer works. What is aligned with who I am becoming? What's more aligned with my highest self? Not what's aligned with me, because, us normal humans, we'll just settle for anything. Anything that feels like home to us, anything that we're familiar with, we tend to settle for it. But what is aligned with our highest self, who we are becoming? You know, how would the highest version of me, how would she dress? What would she brush her teeth with? What type of toothpaste would she use? What type of lotion? What type of car would she drive? What type of area would she live in? What type of people would she date? What type of friends would she have? Not me, who I am right now, because this is going to change, you know. It's kind of like once I said in the beginning, like we can't fall into the temptation of making decisions based off of who we are right now. We have to kind of look to the future a little bit more. We have to, because if we choose based off of who we are right now, it's not going to be solid because we're changing, we're growing, we're evolving. So we're going to need something or people around us that's already aligned with who we are becoming. Perfect example, y'all. If you had a child who, okay, like my daughter, she's 2 years old, my oldest, you know. So when I get her clothes, I don't get her clothes that fit the size that she is right now. I don't get 2 to 3. I tend to get 3T, 4T. Because why? She's going to outgrow the 2T, 3T. That's not going to last long. She's going to outgrow it. So I get her clothes that's a size bigger. Y'all ever remember on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day whenever your grandma would get you some clothes or some shoes? And you'd be like, Grandma, these clothes and shoes too big. She like, I know. You'll grow into it. you know? Same thing when it comes to us picking our friends or the person that we want to date or our environment that we want to live. It's like we have to look to the future and make decisions based off of that instead of who we are right now. Because who I am right now, it's going to change because I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm healing, I'm on a spiritual journey. Who I am right now, this is not permanent. This is just temporary. But who I am becoming, that's more futuristic. That's something that, you know, it's within reach, it's out there. But if I was to choose friends based off of who I am right now, that's not gonna last long, you know? So it's kind of like the biggest question. Who in our lives is aligned with our highest self? Our highest self, what type of man would she go for? What type of woman would he go for? Our highest self, y'all. Because y'all know how in the Bible is saying that like we're created in God's image. It's like we have to fit our life to match into the image of who we are becoming. You know, but it's kind of like for us to determine who and what is aligned with our highest self. It's like we have to identify what our highest self looks like. You know, so it really starts with us. We have to identify what we look like at our highest self. And a lot of times, if we don't know, that's okay. That's why we pray for a higher perspective. We pray for clarity on who we are. I always pray for God to show me clearly who I am and who I will be. Because a lot of times, once again, when we just see things from our own limited human perspective, we see things like we only see a bit of the like a small little piece of the bigger picture. But when we pray for a higher understanding, when we pray for God to show us the bigger picture, that's whenever we can grow into that image and we start to, see clearly what's working for us and what's not. Because right now, if I was to ask everybody, like who and what in your life is aligned with you right now, because we're operating out of, what's comfortable, what feels like home, we would actually choose situations that are just aligned with who we are right now. But this is going to change. Who we are is going to change if we're on this spiritual journey. If we wanted to embark in this new chapter, we're going to change. So it's like we have to choose based off of who we are becoming. We have to choose based off of who and what will fit into my next chapter, not who fits right now, because this is going to change. I'm going to change. The pages of this book, it's going to keep flipping. So who and what fits into my future? But for us to figure that out, it's like we have to identify what our future, what we think it would look like. And it's okay for us to pray for clarity on what that would look like, because sometimes we just don't know. We don't know who we will be in the future. We don't know. So that's why we have to pray for clarity. pray for foresight, I would like to know who I am getting ready to be so that I can make a decision on who and what can come with me and who and what I need to leave behind. And I pray for the strength and the courage to let go of who and what no longer works for me anymore, what no longer serves me, you know. And honestly, y'all, on my way back home, I kind of I had kind of gotten like a really bad energy because I got to thinking to myself, like, this planet Earth is filled with people that have needs and wants. And it's like when they no longer get what they need or want out of other people, other things, it's like they're just on to the next. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's what life is all about. I think it's about what I'm starting to see now is that we go through cycles. We change some things. It may be this way, and the next minute, the path may switch up a little bit. What served us in the past, it might not no more. Maybe we needed that relationship that was abusive to teach us how to be strong, and now we don't need it no more. So we off to the next, off to better. So that just made me realize that each person in our life, they serve a purpose. Whether it's temporary or permanent, we may not know, you know. But it's like when it comes time for us to let go, when it comes time that we realize that we have outgrown, it's like we have to make that decision on if we're going to try to stay or if we're going to, move on to things that are more aligned with us. But it's like everything and everybody serves a purpose in our life. This car that I have right now, when I first got it, y'all, it was actually totaled, and I don't expect to have this car for the rest of my life. I know it may not hold up for the rest of that time, but right now it is getting me from point A to point B. Right now it's serving its purpose. This is temporary. But what I look like 5, 7 years from now, this car completely falling down on me. Everybody tell me, Lana, just get a new car that's more up to date. You got the money for it. Just go ahead and get a new car. And I'm just like, no, I want to keep up with this car. It's kind of like we have to kind of learn how to go with the flow, and realize that certain things and certain people in our lives, they're just here temporarily. It's just here to allow us to, like, it just serves certain purposes, you know. Some things will last, the rest of this lifetime with us, and other things and connections, they may not. They may have been here just to teach us something. They may have been here just to show us a certain side of ourselves that we didn't see before. But it's like, how can we identify what and who no longer serves us? Our highest good, you know? And I'm not talking about like our own personal satisfaction. I'm talking about our highest good. What no longer serves our highest good, okay? Because if we're going by our highest good, that allows us to fall into, God's will. Instead of us saying, well, this don't meet my needs no more. That's just personal needs. Like, what's the word, y'all? Basically, okay, we have two different needs, y'all. Okay, we have personal needs, personal gains, okay, and we also have spiritual needs, okay. So when we're saying what and who no longer serves me, y'all, I'm not talking about personal satisfaction, like, oh, they don't bring me food no more. Like, no, what no longer serves our highest good. There's a big difference. There's a very big difference, okay. And I think a lot of times we kind of get the two confused. We're like, well, I ain't having fun in this relationship no more, so it no longer serves me. No, that's personal. That's a personal need. But our spiritual, our highest need, there's this relationship or marriage serves our highest good, our highest need. Because a lot of times what doesn't serve our personal needs, it serves our spiritual needs. And what serves our, spiritual needs may not serve our personal needs. So It's kind of like we would have to learn how to distinguish the two, okay? Because if we're basing things off of our own personal needs, that's actually called using, y'all. Where this person, oh, they don't do everything for me no more, so I don't want them. You know, that's actually using people, okay? But when we say what's no longer serving our highest good, it actually puts a different flair onto that. When we say our highest good, that means what no longer is adding to my spirit, what no longer is teaching me, what am I no longer learning from, like what is no longer aligned with who I am becoming, you know? It's two different things, y'all, okay? We got to make sure we're not confusing the two, okay? But, yeah, it's just all about us being honest with ourselves. You know, we're saying that we want to switch over to the new dimension, the new chapter, our new reality, but it's like, okay, are we willing to let go of what is no longer aligned with who we are becoming? Are we willing to let go of chapter 3 so we can move on to chapter 4, you know? Because there's no way possible that we can move on to chapter 4 while still trying to hold on to the pages of chapter 3. Like, it just, I mean, it ain't gonna look right, you know. And that reminds me a little bit of like the Bible verse, choose you this day who you will serve. You know, it's like we have to choose. Like, are we gonna hold on to the past and stay right here, continue to stay who we are, you know, and stunt our own growth, or are we going to move forward? And it will mean sacrificing some things, relationships, but who are we serving? What are we serving? What do we want? Do we want to stay where we are, or do we want to, you know, evolve? Do we want to move forward? Because here's the thing, we get to choose, y'all. That's the thing about free will. We all get to choose if we want to stay the same. Like I said, for example, if it's a person who has friends who like to party all the time, they can choose to, let those friends go, and be alone, until they get other sober friends. Or they can choose to go back, go backwards. We all have free will. But here's the thing though, when we go back into situations or connections that are not aligned with us anymore, we're going to feel how uncomfortable it is. Like I said about the caterpillar, y'all, that's transitioning to the butterfly. The cocoon is comfortable and all, but as the caterpillar grows, it starts to become a little bit uncomfortable. And I mean, the caterpillar, it has a choice to stay, but one, its whole body is not going to fit. And because its whole body is not going to fit, it's not going to be fully protected. It's not going to be fully covered from like the rain and stuff, how it was once protected. It ain't gonna feel right. It'll be uncomfortable. Some of its back will be sticking out. It won't fit, y'all. That's like trying to squeeze ourselves back into some blue jeans that we just can't fit no more. It's uncomfortable. And it becomes uncomfortable until we make it a decision to bump our size up and get the proper size. You know? So it's kind of like where we are right here, right now in life, who we're surrounded by. We have to make a decision on if this fits us or not. We have to make a decision on if it fits who we are becoming. You know? But it's kind of like, which, that's crazy. I get a lot of random thoughts, and it's like when I do a reading, those thoughts, they come into play. It's like there's a reason why I thought those thoughts. But the other day, I was thinking about a pair of blue jeans, and I actually, like, was thinking to myself, like, would I choose, um, okay, that's where I got that thought from. I was listening to Steve Harvey on the radio, and the question was, would you rather wear pants that are too big, like too baggy, or would you rather them be too tight? And honestly, my answer to myself was I would rather them be too tight, you know? And it's kind of like the same thing here. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm seeing why I would say, I would prefer to be too tight because if it's too big, I have in my mind, like, what if I don't fit them? What if I don't get big enough to actually fit these? It's like sometimes we doubt our own growth. We doubt our own, evolvement. Like, how do I know that I won't get bigger? How do I know that? I don't know that. I just think that because I'm used to being small. I'm used to being this size. So it's like the same thing with life. It's like we choose to settle with things that no longer fit us because we sometimes we think to ourselves like maybe better is not out there. Maybe I won't, maybe moving forward it won't work, or maybe I won't grow enough. Maybe I won't, evolve enough to attract those type of people in my life that I need. So it's like we choose to stay where we're comfortable. We choose to hang on, although it's uncomfortable, although it's starting to leave little imprints on our bellies and stuff wearing tight clothes. We choose that because getting bigger clothes, that would mean that we would have to grow, right? And it's like sometimes we get intimidated by that. Like, I don't know if I want to grow or not. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I want to put on some more pounds. Me personally, y'all, I don't want to really like gain extra weight. I'm like extremely satisfied with being little. This is what I'm used to, But like now that I'm thinking about it, y'all, it makes so much sense in this reading. It's like sometimes we would rather play it small and settle and be small because moving forward will require us to grow, and that is uncomfortable. It's not something we're used to. Prime example: in real life, I'm 5 foot. I weigh 98 pounds. Each time that I got pregnant with my daughters, I was still 5 foot, but I bumped up to like 130 something pounds, y'all. So me growing and going through all those aches and not being able to sleep right, running out of breath, can't really walk without sweating, it was very uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable for me, because it was something my body is not used to. My body is not used to stretching like that. My body is not, I'm not used to carrying that much weight around with me. I'm used to being small, y'all. So it's kind of like the same thing when it comes to just life in general. We get so comfortable with things being a certain way that when it comes time to actually grow and be around better people, be in healthier relationships, it's like we tell ourselves like, I can't handle this. It's too much. I'm not used to this. I'd rather go back. But that's my comfort zone. That's what I'm used to. It feels better over there. That's what I'm comfortable with. So a lot of times, especially like when it comes to successful people and unsuccessful people, the people who became successful, they had to go through uncomfortable transitions because success requires us to move very different than a person who's unsuccessful. Unsuccessful, we can sit up on our phones all day and just, go on about life, don't really care that much. But successful people, they have a lot of responsibilities. They have things they have to take care of. They have routines, shows to show up for, meetings to attend, you know. So it's like the more that we want out of this life, it requires more from us. And we think to ourselves, you know what? Maybe I just want to go back to the house and be on my phone. I'm tired of showing up to these meetings. I'm tired of all these TV shows. You know, we want better. We want success. We want that healthy relationship, that healthy marriage, that better paying job. But it seems like it requires more. It requires us to move different, to think different. And we're not used to that. So a lot of times that's why we choose to stay. That's why we choose to play it small. That's why we choose to settle. because we know that this next chapter is going to require us to read a whole new script. You know, the pages are going to look a little different in chapter 4 than they did in chapter 3, 2, and 1. You know, kind of like I just had the case scenario in my mind about if a child was in class and the teacher is always made them read like the same book, so the child knows that whole book forward and back, and then the teacher is like, "Hey, do y'all want to read a new book?" And everybody in the classroom, they'll probably say no, because the children, they may have in their mind like, "What if I don't know how to read that book? What if I don't know how to pronunciate certain words that pop up? What if I get embarrassed in front of the whole class? What if I fail? What if it don't work out? I'm used to this book. It got small letters in it. It's like the dog ran. You know, I can read that. But she's talking about pulling out a book with bigger words in it, like elephant, vegetables, spaghetti. You know, them big words. It requires me to learn more. It requires me to step out of my comfort zone. Now, I don't know if I'm ready for all of that. Can we not just stick to this book, Miss Ma'am? You know, can we just stick to this? We so bad want to hang on to our comfort zone. We so badly want to stay where we are, although it's stunting our growth because it feels like home. It feels like home here. No, it's not aligned with us. No, it probably ain't no good for us. Yeah, we probably need to stop smoking. We probably need to stop drinking. We probably need to stop partying. You right, but it feels normal. It feels it feels like home, you know. Because for us to be, sober, for us to like stop the partying, the smoking, the drinking, it would require us to cut out something that we're used to doing. It would require us to, you know, go without things that we're used to having. And a lot of us are not ready for that, you know. But with this string card in reverse, it's like we give into that temptation. Like I said in the beginning of the video, going back, it feels so comfortable. It feels so relaxing. It's just like, welcome back, come on back here, it gives us a sense of, what's the word? Familiarity. I'm about like some kids in the classroom I was talking about. you know, it just feels like home. Although it's toxic, although it's abusive, although it's unhealthy, unpleasant, uncomfortable, it feels like home. So it's up to us if we're going to continue to revisit this home, this childhood home, okay? That's just symbolic of situations that we have outgrown, y'all. You know? Or if we're going to embark on our own journey and start our whole new identity, become whole new people, surround ourselves with whole new people, take on whole new job offers, it's up to us. We all got free will. That's why some people are successful, some people are not. Some people are filthy rich, and some people are not. Some people are living a life of lavish, some people are not. Some people are happy, some people are not. And it's because of the decisions we make. Each person who is not a millionaire, is not living lavish, all of that, you know, they make a decision to stay where they are comfortable. You know? Because having lots of money, that requires us to probably learn about stocks, take up a skill, be more busy, not hang out with friends as much, and we dread having to change ourselves, so that's what causes this drastic change in our lives to be delayed. Because we don't want to step out our comfort zone, you know? I just thought about like a basketball player, a professional basketball player, you know? It could be two basketball players, and one of them will probably choose to just, like play it small and continue to hang out with his homeboys and like to run the city and get in trouble, while the other basketball player buckles down. He does what he's supposed to do. He wakes up early. He goes to class. You know, we all got free will. Some people will make it to the next chapter, and some people will stay in chapter 3. But it's like the people in chapter 3, they can't get mad at the people in chapter 4. And the people in chapter 4, they can't try to pull the people in chapter 3 with them. The people in chapter 3, they got to decide that they want to move forward into chapter 4. We can't make people change. We can't make people evolve and be spiritual and evolve. Like, we can't do that. They have to do that. And we also can't give into the temptation of going back to chapter 3. Not if we want to enjoy the beauties of chapter 4. So we have to make a decision. Are we going to keep rereading chapter 3, 2, and 1? Because those are the pages we're familiar with. We know all them little words. Or are we going to challenge ourselves to move forward into chapter 4 and 5 and 6? The words might be a little bigger though, y'all. The paragraphs, they might be a little longer. But it'll challenge us. It will require us to grow and move different, think different. But it's up to us if we're up to the challenge or not. The more we want, the more we what's that phrase where much is given, much is required, something like that. This new chapter that we want, y'all, this life of luxurious, things of that nature. It's gonna require us to level up. It's gonna require us to break out of what we're used to. It's gonna require us to step out of our comfort zone. It's gonna require us to think some thoughts that we never thought before. This new chapter is gonna require us to read some words that we ain't never read before. You know? But because we all got free will, y'all, it'll be up to us if we make a decision to stay in chapter 3 or not, or move forward. But we can't get upset if we see other people advancing and moving towards chapter 4. We can't get upset with them because we all got this decision right here to make. You know? Chapter 3 or chapter 4. You know? But we can't do both, y'all. Can't read chapter 3 and chapter 4 all at once. That'll cause us to get distracted. You know? But yep, we can't choose both, y'all. Okay? But it looks like this new beginning is being delayed. What we're praying for is being delayed. This new reality and this lifestyle is being delayed because we're still hanging on. We're still comfortable with them little words in chapter 3. But I can read all them words. The dog can run. I can read them words. You know? But this new chapter, this new lifestyle, it requires us to level up. It requires us to move like bosses. It requires us to think different, not hang out with certain people, wake up early, go to sleep early, you know? This new chapter requires us to be a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more poised. And a lot of us are not ready for that. Everybody's level of readiness is a little different. Some people might be ready to blast off to chapter 4 right now. Some people might need a little bit more time to mingle in chapter 3 and 2 and 1. You know? But eventually, like I said with the caterpillar and the cocoon, y'all, I don't know how long my phone was postponing it part right there while I was talking. Okay? I hope y'all can y'all can still hear me. But, kind of like a caterpillar, eventually, it's going to grow uncomfortable in that cocoon. And it'll be up to us to make that decision to break free from our cocoon or not. our comfort zone. You know, it's up to us though. As long as that caterpillar is trying to hang on to that cocoon, it'll never branch off and, explore what power is within its wings. It won't get to, go as far as it wants to. It'll be just stuck in that same spot in that cocoon, comfortable. You know, and a lot of times, like if we were caterpillars, it's like we would stay in the cocoon because we think to ourselves, like, well, what if my wings ain't big enough? What if they don't get me to point A, point B? What if I end up falling? What if it ain't gonna work? But here's the thing, y'all. Bumblebees, when it comes to, like, if y'all want to be technical and scientific, bumblebees are not really supposed to fly because their wings are much smaller than their bodies. But the bumblebees, they thought to themselves, like, you know what? I'm defying gravity. I'm defying all these scientific projects. They say I ain't supposed to fly. But guess what? I'm going to fly anyway because I believe in myself. Yeah, I know I got little wings. They ain't as big as the butterflies. But I'm still about to make this work. You know? So it's like, if we're thinking to ourselves, I may not have what it takes, my wings, they may not be big enough, this may not work, we got to think about that, the bumblebee. It has little wings, but it still flies. It still makes some things work. It still gets from point A to point B, just like a butterfly. And its wings are so much smaller. The bumblebee was told, you're not supposed to fly. Your body is bigger than your wings. Your wings are too small. That's what society tells the bumblebee. But the bumblebee is like, look, I got wings. I can make something happen out of them. I have just as much potential as that cute, beautiful butterfly over there. So I'm gonna take a chance on myself and test my wings out, and that's what happened. And that's why today, bumblebees, they fly. They took a chance on themselves. They believed in themselves. They trusted the universe. They didn't let their own doubts get in the way. They didn't allow naysayers or people with, criticism, put them down. You know, they pressed forward anyway, despite the circumstances, despite how things look, despite, them feeling incapable. They did it anyway. And that just lets us know that we have the same potential. We can manifest this new lifestyle. We do have what it takes. We really do. Our wings might be a little smaller than the next person's wing, but we can still move from point A to point B, just like a bumblebee. We have just as much potential as every rich, wealthy person you see out there. Anybody you see and living lavish and enjoying life, we have that same potential. We have that same capacity to live an exciting and fulfilling life, just like them. You know, but it's going to require us to think different, move different, and be more disciplined, more poised. We're going to have to sacrifice some things. Millionaires had to make a couple sacrifices. They couldn't hang around certain people anymore. They couldn't party as much because they were busy focusing on stocks and stuff like that. They were busy. They stepped out of their comfort zone. They had to do something different. They didn't just wake up like that. I mean, some of them did. But the ones who are like self-made and they really built themselves up from the ground up, it required discipline. It required them to be extremely uncomfortable and do things that they never did before. You know, chapter 4 is there for everybody, but everybody is not ready to turn that page over. Everybody's level of readiness is a little different. You know, and that's okay. But we have to make a decision on if we're going to continue to hang on to the books that we're familiar with reading. We got the little words, the dog ran, the cat ate, you know, or if we're going to advance to the more intermediate books with bigger words, longer paragraphs. That'll cause us to challenge ourselves. It'll be a little different. Might stutter a couple times. Might have to study a little harder than a couple other people to be able to pronunciate certain words. But eventually, y'all, with practice, consistency, and dedication, we'll be professional readers in no time. But it's up to us, y'all. It's up to us. It's up to us. Okay? But that's all that I have for this reading here. I pray that you guys took something very valuable from here. I pray that this is really good brain food for you guys. And yeah, that's all that I have. We're going to go ahead and close this video out, but just know we all have what it takes to manifest new and better, but we have to make a decision on if we're willing to let go of what no longer is serving us. We have to let go first for the new to come in. The new cannot come in while we're still holding on to the old. Okay? So we're going to chill with the old. We're going to move forward. Okay? All right, we all got free will. Just know I love y'all dearly, and I support whatever decision y'all decide to make, including myself. And yeah, I'll go ahead and let you guys go. Until next time, toodles.